But by that, I remember the last thought in my mind was, damn it, my sister and my brother-in-law is going to come home and see me naked on the damn floor. That was my last thought. Because in my mind, I was like, okay, this is it. He's telling me to puff the pump. I don't have the... Hi, y'all. Hi, everybody. So today I want to talk about my near-death experience. Just touching a little bit on it. For those of you who are here, who's never heard of a near-death experience, it is so much more widely spoken about now. When it happened to me, it happened in 2021, and I had no idea there was a name for it. I didn't tell anyone about it either. I kind of went off the deep end. And I started to research it myself. And a couple months in, I found out there was actually a name for it, and they were so many other people. There were hundreds, thousands of people who have also had the same experience. And the more I listened to them, the more I resonated back to my experience. And for the first time since it happened, I felt sane. Because I'm a Caribbean girl. I was born in Jamaica, from Caribbean parents. We're very religious. We were brought up extremely religious. And we do believe in miracles and everything, but having a near-death experience and having now no fear of death, knowing because of my experience that incarnation is a thing, and most of us were taught that we just live once and that's it. And I always thought to myself, what a drag. So if I make mistakes now, that's just it. And it's life has always kind of been stressful because you want to get everything done the right way because you only have one chance, one life to live. You know what I mean? But I remember the spiritual journey had already started for me maybe a year before. So it would have started during the pandemic, because then I wasn't going out. I started meditating for some reason, and I was having these experiences. But fast forward to the near-death experience. I was in New York after making a decision to come to New York, only by a whim, only by a voice in my head that New York is calling. And I remember I was here for probably about a month then. And I didn't come to New York with a plan. I just came here. I wanted to take a break from Jamaica. I didn't travel in over 2 years, and I was hitting rock bottom mentally because I kept saying, what next? What next? What am I going to do next? Everything that I was used to as a comfort zone was stripped away from me. And I had so many questions in my mind, and I remember I kept praying every time I would meditate. What is my purpose? What is my purpose? Give me a purpose or there is no point. Because I was always proactive, and I mean, things were happening, but not at the rate that I wanted it to. And I remember I was in Brooklyn, New York, at my aunt's house, and my sister and my brother-in-law had just left for work. So I was there. I'm on vacation. I stay home in the daytime or I go out. And oh my gosh, now that I'm saying this near-death experience was pre-planned by my guides, by the universe, by God, months before this happened. And I'll explain to you going down. But there was a tickle in my throat. I was taking a shower and my mind was flooded because then I was training for a very well-known organization back in Jamaica. I was a trainer with them. And as a trainer, I did a little bit more. I had over 200 students in my group that we were training to how to make money online, how to be self-sufficient, how to become entrepreneurs. And that was what I was doing at that time. But also, when the classes were done, I had so many of the students, I opened the door where they could call me. They could communicate with me. I could talk to them, find out personally what their problems were, so I could speak to them or guide them even after classes, on what next to do in their lives, and it was much. And I never closed the door. I kept it open. So every day you're hearing about the problems of one person to the other person. You realize, oh my gosh, people are really struggling out there. So I woke up that morning with that burden on my back. Then I didn't know how to energetically filter, speak to somebody, give them guidance, and also allow the energy to go. I would take it on like in an empathic type of way. And that morning I was taking a shower. I was so flooded with it, and I had a class to do, and I was like, oh, gosh, you know what I mean? And just like I just did now, I took a breath and there was a tickle in my throat, and that was it. There was no breath. No breath whatsoever. And I remember trying to, and I panicked. I panicked the daylights out of town. And I struggled out of the shower in a frenzy, in a panic, because I was trying to cough. I couldn't cough. There was nothing there. I tried to catch a breath, and I realized this breath is not coming back. And I don't know, my phone rang. I just got my iPhone. I've never had an iPhone before, so it was the first time for me to say, oh, put the thing at your phone, and the phone comes on with the face recognition. And I knew consciously that the phone was ringing, and I know I took the phone up, and then it fell. But in that minute, I could hear my partner, who was in Jamaica. He is asthmatic. He was diagnosed with asthma ever since I know him. And I think after speaking to him, he said he heard the sound of me gasping. All I could hear was him saying, get the pump, get the pump. And I'm going to freeze right there because I said, get the pump. Now, months before I came to New York, on my way to the airport, he always has Ventolin inhaler pumps. I don't have any here with me now, but I always have it now. And I remember him putting it in my bag in the car. And he said, you're going to take this with you to New York because the weather is up, the weather is down. You don't know what to expect. And I remember I got mad. I was like, I'm not asthmatic. I don't need a damn pump. And he was persistent. He put it in the bag. And when we got to the airport, I looked at it in my bag and I took it. I was like, I'm not taking that through TSA. I'm not asthmatic. Your name is on that prescription. I don't want it. And all the way up to me checking in, he still had the pump in his hand. And before I went through to check myself, he put it in my bag again and he said, you listen to me, you take the pump. I was like, what am I doing with a stupid pump? Freeze. So this is to prove to you that this was being set up months before this happened to me. So I heard his voice back in the room. I heard his voice saying, get the pump, pump and swallow, puff and swallow. But by that, I remember the last thought in my mind was, damn it, my sister and my brother-in-law is going to come home and see me naked on the damn floor. That was my last thought. Because in my mind, I was like, okay, this is it. He's telling me to puff the pump. I don't have the strength to find the pump. It's probably in my bag. I can't move. And in that moment, consciously, I was not here. And this is my memory of my near-death experience. I remember seeing myself I know it was a room, but it was just whiteness. And I know there were people there because it's as if I was being spoken to and I was familiar with this essence. In my mind, I was like, there's angels here. The place was so white. And immediately when I got there, it was so warm, so welcoming. I've never felt that love and passion before in my life. And I remember being there, I'm not looking down, because now I think to myself, why didn't you look down to see if you saw a body or light? But I didn't. But I remember there was a whiteness. And it would seem as if the angel that was there was speaking to me. Now I know the word is telepathically. Then I didn't know what it was. I know that there were words spoken or there was messages coming, but there were no words coming out. That's the thing. There were no words, but I understood that something was being said. And while I was there, it was as if I was seeing people that I knew. I knew them, but I can't pick up their faces. But it's like, oh, this is family. Now I understand it was my soul family. But I was taken to this room. I don't remember walking, but it was like this minute I'm here and the next minute I'm in a room. And there was like screenshots. Can I say screenshots? Or like a collage of a screen. I saw 3 things, and I'll share them with you. The first thing I remember seeing was myself as probably about 5 or 6 years old. And I had on this cute red dress and my sister was dressing me. And while that was happening, I didn't feel how I felt as a 5-year-old. I was feeling how my sister felt, which was kind of weird to me. And by the time I consumed that emotion, it went to another flash of myself in high school. I went to Ferncourt High School in Claremont, St. Anne, Jamaica. And there was this guy there, I won't call his name now, but he loved me so much. I think I was in grade 7 or 8, and it was Valentine's Day. And he came to school with a rose for me. And me and my silly self, he came to give me the rose, and I had all my other girlfriends around me, and I probably was embarrassed, being probably 13 or 14 years old, and I didn't take the flowers from him. And this moment allowed me to feel how he felt, and he felt so sad, and I felt it. And the last clip that I saw was this old lady that I remember. I didn't remember until now, but I remember paying for her grocery at a supermarket. It was in Jamaica, and I paid for her grocery. Something was wrong. She couldn't pay for everything, and she was putting stuff back, and I said to the cashier, let me just pay for the whole bill. And I felt the love and relief that that old lady felt. And then that was gone. And I remember not being told, but I remember knowing that I had a choice. Are you going back or are you staying? Are you going back or are you staying? And I wanted to stay, and it felt as if somebody pushed forward, and I want to say said, but no words were said. But it was as if somebody pushed forward, and I felt the essence of my grandmother, my mother's mother. And it was as if something like that. It was as if you felt this blow, and you just know that there was a knowing that no, it's not your time. You're going back. You're going back. And that experience was so wonderful, because while I was there was no fear of death. There was just, I want to be here. It was like, I am home. And I could never understand that this death that I've been fearing so long, the death experience is like going home. And I never understood that, but I was back. But this is how I came back. All of a sudden, the white room became dark. All I could see or experience or perceive was a blackness. And here is how this resonates with me. In the blackness, I saw a pin light. You know, like you're in a dark room and like there's a nail hole. It was a pin of a light. And as soon as I saw the pin of a light, consciously, I felt air. And I breathed, but it felt as if it was coming through that hole, that air that I got. So it was, and then it just started to expand. And as it started to expand it in my conscious self, which is my body, my life body, I gasped for air. And when I gasped for air consciously, I wasn't there again. I was in the room where my body was. And on the phone, I still could hear. I couldn't see the phone, but I could hear the voice of my partner. Now in a panic, puff, I never forget, puff and swallow. And when that came back to me, I put my hand over to my bag. And I shuffled in the bag, and I felt the pump. I took it out. Puff, swallow, puff, swallow. And I don't know how long I did that for, until I felt on the floor, and I took the phone up, and there he was on video call. He was like, what happened? And he's talking, and he's asking a whole bunch of questions, and I'm still thinking to myself, is this real or is that real that I just experienced? Because the near-death experience that I had was more real than being here. And then, like, for myself, I was like, I so want to go back, because immediately when you come back, then the panic comes back and the worry comes back and all of these things comes back, because he's asking me, what happened? What happened? Can you breathe? Let me see you. Puff and swallow, puff and swallow. Oh my God. When I think about it now, sometime last year, I had a past life regression, and my guides told me that my near-death experience was more an explosion. The words they used was more of an explosion of consciousness more than a near-death experience. And I said, I have to give gratitude and just pure love for the experience that I had, to now understand more my connection with everything, because I came out not wanting to really tell anybody, but always with a smirk on my face, like, I know something that you don't know, you know, that type of way. But anyway, the experience has been mind-blowing, and I will share more, because my guides have been nudging me for over 1 year to share more, and I kept saying, are you crazy? People are going to think I'm crazy. I'm a Jamaican. Jamaican people are going to say, the girl got mad. But you know what? Where I sit right now, I am absolutely the wealthiest person on earth, because in every moment I have everything that I could possibly desire. And anything else that I do desire, I know it's coming. It's already formulated. It's already there, and it always comes. I am always aligned to it. I'm always guided to it. It's like my destination is already keyed into a GPS, and I am connected to everything. And coming out of my near-death experience, this explosiveness of conscious awareness of knowing thyself, because I kept hearing this, know thyself. I always wonder, what's know thyself? What is there to know? I'm flesh, I'm going to die, and that's it. But knowing thyself is having a remembrance of your connection with everything. And knowing also that God, the God consciousness, the Christ consciousness, is not contained by an identity. The God consciousness is infinite vastness, is absolute love, it's pure and holy truth. It is no judgment, it is no pain, it is no fear, it's no struggle, it's no shame. The God conscious is everything but that. And the reason why so many people feel separated from the consciousness of God, because it is within. When I say to somebody that God is within your breath, you have to understand the experience that I had to know it. Because when I was on the other side, between life and death, literally, that is where the consciousness of God gave me life and choice back to be here. It was a pinhole of breath that the consciousness of God flows within us, which means that we're never separated from God, which means that the power that we're seeking outwardly is here. I have been having the most wonderful, exciting experience. I call it a treasure hunt, because every day there's something new for me to learn. I understand now that the life experience is really for me to expand, to explore, to go through my lessons, whether karmic or dharmic, whatever the experience is, and understand no matter how much it feels as if I'm hitting rock bottom, there's something down there for me to dig and scrape for, to learn from. There's always a lesson there, and it's not my purpose or my place to judge, to shame, to be mindful of anybody else's business, but just be mindful of my own. And if I become the love and the light of this world, then it is so infectious that the people around me will see it, will want to also be it, will start asking themselves the question, how do I be like? How do I know thyself? Look behind me. I've never done painting before my near-death experience. One day, my guides guided me, get paint. I used to sketch. I've always drawn, sketched, nothing serious. And I said to myself, get paint to do what? Paint and canvas? I can't do anything on paint and canvas. And they taught me that the Picasso consciousness is a frequency that is still out there. There are prodigies out here who are painting as good as Picasso, who are singing as good as some of the best singers that we've ever had, because the consciousness is on a frequency out here. And if you tap into that frequency, you can do anything. And the first time I did an art, oh my gosh, I think I sold it. Did I sell it? I sold it. Somebody wanted it so bad because that art was for somebody. But I can put pen to paper. I will visualize. This one I did sometime last year, and it was from a vision I had of the multiverse. It was the first time I understood that there's not just one earth. There are multiple infinite earths. And I remember I woke up and I said, oh my gosh, I have to paint this. And I did. So that's a multiverse. And this one is another, something that I saw in my head of an angel looking over New York City. It needed it because New York City is recovering from so much trauma. And it's just absolutely beautiful to have experienced a near-death, and just knowing that we all have this experience, that there's no hierarchy or lowerarchy anywhere, that we all have the power to connect directly to the God consciousness, the Christ consciousness, that we can create whatever day we want, whatever life we want. It's just absolutely beautiful knowing that there's absolutely nothing to fear and there's no limitations. I try not to use the word God too much because the word God has been muddied so much from every other religion and everything, and every person who uses the word God to render something atrocious in the name of a God. But you will understand when I say God, because there's a God consciousness, and it is all about love, no separation. I didn't want to make this too long, but I just wanted to share my story of my near-death experience, this little Jamaican girl. And so many exciting things have happened since then and will forever happen. But it was worth it to share it because I promise it, and it's a part of my path that I chose to have somehow, to be the voice that the person who needs to resonate will listen and will hear. I want to tell you, you are love, you're absolute light, and there's nothing that you could possibly think you want to do that you can't do, because the God consciousness flows through you. You do not need a near-death experience to know that. If you ask thyself, if you look within, looking within is not just trying to see through your skin, it's resonating and quieting from all the distractions that we call news and all the fear-mongering things that are happening, and just ask every single day, every single night, why am I here? Guide me to my most believable outcome and see what happens. Anyway, I'm gonna go until the next video, because I've come out of the closet anyway, so there'll be more videos. I absolutely love you. You are love, you are light, and you forever will shine so bright. Bye-bye.